I got booked on my first podcast back in 2019 with 0 followers, no PR agency, and no connections in the podcasting world. Since then, I've spoken on dozens of shows, and through my business Podstar, I've helped hundreds of founders land spots on some of the biggest podcasts in their industry, allowing them to build authority in their space and turn a single interview into weeks of content. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact system for how to do so yourself, completely for free, so you can start getting in front of the right audience, build your credibility, and even generate inbound leads for your business. Let's get into it. Before we get into the actual steps, I want to clear something up quickly. Most people assume that getting on a podcast is something reserved for the well-known. They think you need a big following, years of industry credibility, or some kind of external validation like a Forbes feature or a book deal. They hold off and they tell themselves they'll start pitching shows once they've built up more of a name for themselves. And that waiting never ends because there's always another milestone ahead. The truth is that podcast hosts don't book famous people, they book the right fit. A host's job is to make a great episode for their audience. What they're looking for is someone who can speak to a specific problem their listeners are dealing with in a way that's useful and human. Your follower count has nothing to do with that. What matters is whether your story and your experience are genuinely useful to their audience. You don't need 50,000 followers, a Forbes 30 under 30 badge, or a perfect company to get booked. You need a story, a lesson, and a message that helps people. Podcasting rewards people with lived experience, not just influencers. So you're not asking to be interviewed, you're offering value that makes their episode better. With that out of the way, let's get straight into this. The first thing you need before you pitch a single show is a speaker profile. When a host receives a pitch, the first thing they do is look you up. If they land on a generic LinkedIn page or a website that doesn't tell them anything about what you speak about, you shot yourself in the foot from the start. A speaker profile is a single page that answers every question a host has before they even reply to your email. Who you are, who you help, what you talk about, and whether you can actually deliver a good episode. Without this, a host has no reason to say yes. A good speaker profile is built around 6 elements. The hero section sits on the very top of the page, and it needs one clear one-liner that communicates who you help and what outcomes you deliver. The formula is I help specific person achieve specific results with specific pain using your method. For example, I help B2B SaaS teams cut CAC by 27% with new ad spend using podcast guests as content ops. It's one sentence, it's specific, and it's outcome focused. Directly below that, you want to back it up with some evidence. This could be logos of clients you've worked with, press mentions, conferences you've spoken at, or any podcast you've already appeared on. If you're just starting and have none of these yet, even 1 or 2 relevant logos does the job. The one-liner tells the host what you do. The logos tell them other people have already trusted you to do it. Then comes your bio. And for this, it's important to understand that this is not a CV. It should be a short 120 to 160 word story in 3 parts. Who you help and what results you deliver. 1 or 2 proof points with real numbers where possible, and 1 human detail that makes you memorable. Write it the way you'd introduce yourself at a dinner, not the way you'd write a LinkedIn summary. After the bio, you want past appearances. Embed 1 video and 1 audio clip from previous interviews if you have them. If you haven't been on a podcast yet, you can just record 90 seconds video instead. In that video, say who you help, the 3 problems you can speak to, and what listeners will walk away with. Hosts watch this to get a feel for how you come across on a mic. So keep it natural, not scripted. Once a host has seen you can deliver, they want to know what you'd actually talk about. That's where you talk topics come in. List 3 to 4 topics, and for each one, give it a title, explain why it matters to their listeners, cover what you'll actually discuss, and name the one thing listeners will live with. For example, a topic called How to Go from 0 to 3 Booked Podcasts in 30 Days. The more specific your topics are, the more likely a host is to say say yes. The last element is a clear call to action, a button that says invite me or book a chat with a direct link to your email or calendar, or maybe WhatsApp. The contact path needs to be one click away. If a host has to hunt for how to reach you, they won't. It's important that you don't overthink the design and don't wait until it's perfect. A simple, clear, done profile beats a beautiful unfinished one every time. The goal is to have something you'd be comfortable sending to a host today. And if you want a speaker profile template, click in the link in the description to check out my Podstar community where you can get access to that and a whole bunch of other cool resources. Now, back to the video. Pitching any podcast just because it exists is a waste of time. You want to appear in front of an audience that actually contains the people you're trying to reach. Imagine you're selling a steak. Even if you have the best steak in the world, if you're trying to sell it to vegetarians, you won't get any sales. That's why a great episode on the wrong show does almost nothing for you. So before you pitch anyone, build a qualified list of 60 shows. I say 60 because at roughly a 5% conversion rate, 60 pitches gets you to around 3 confirmed bookings. And if you do my Podstar challenge, that's inside my school community, and get 3 confirmed bookings, you would win your money back. Anyway, there are a few free ways to build that list. I recommend starting with Google. You can search your topic followed by the word podcast or best podcast for your industry, or even a competitor's name with the few words podcast and interview next to it. The competitor search is particularly useful. If a competitor has already been on a show, that host already cares about your topic, which means you have a warm angle going in. Another approach is to ask your audience directly. Post on LinkedIn, in Slack groups, or in industry communities and ask what podcast they actually listen to for your topic. This gets you shows your ideal listener already trust, which is exactly where you want to appear. You can also use a free tool called Listen Notes, which is essentially a search engine for podcasts. You can filter by topic, frequency, and episode count to find active shows in your niche fast. And finally, look where people in your industry have already appeared. Find 3 or 4 voices in your space and look up which shows they've been on. Those hosts are already open to guests like you. Now, before you pitch any show on that list, you need to figure out which ones are actually worth your time. And you'll use the stage framework to do this. S is for size and signal. This is where you check if the show has a real audience. Look at the YouTube views per episode, LinkedIn engagement, or newsletter mentions, not just the download count anyone can claim. T is for topic fit. Does the show's content match the audience you're trying to reach? If it doesn't, move on. A is for activity. Figure out if this show has posted a new video in the last 30 days. If not, don't bother. G is for guest friendly. You need to figure out if the show actually has guests. So check their back catalog, because a show that's mostly solo episode isn't worth your time. And E is for engagement. Found out if there are real comments and interactions on their platforms. Downloads can be inflated, but engagement can't. Score each show from 0 to 2 on each of those 5 criteria. Anything that hits 7 or above out of the 10 goes on your active pitch list. I'd also run a scam filter alongside this. Some shows look legitimate but are pay-to-play operations in disguise. Red flags include shows that call themselves top 1% with no verifiable proof, shows that ask for payment before showing you any real metrics, or shows with famous sounding name that doesn't match the actual content. I learned this the hard way by pitching a client on what I thought was the real Chris Voss show, the FBI negotiator. They paid, we were excited, and then I checked the YouTube and realized it was completely different person running a show with the same name. I refunded the client, and that experience is exactly why this filter exists. So the rule here is simple. If you find 2 or more red flags on a show, don't bother. Also, track everything in a simple spreadsheet. Columns for show name, host's name, topic, contact details, your stage score, any scam flags, and priority level. And again, inside the Podstar School community, there's a pre-built spreadsheet with all of these columns already set up for you, so you don't have to build it from scratch. The link is in the description. Once your sheet has 60 scored shows with at least 30 rated medium or high, you're ready to pitch. Pitch and follow up. So the pitch email has one job: get a reply. It doesn't need to sell your entire life story or list every credential you have. It needs to feel human, specific to that host, and short enough that they actually read it. The target is 75 words at a 3rd grade reading level. Keep it simple with a clear sentences and nothing unnecessary. The structure should be something like this. Line 1 is going to be a genuine compliment tied to a specific episode. Mention something from their show that actually helped you or changed how you think about something. Avoid anything generic like just saying you love their podcast. Either get specific or don't bother at all. Something like, your latest episode with Matt Gray helped me realize how to systemize the way I create content, and now I'm able to do it in just 4 hours a week. This proves you actually listened, and it opens with giving before asking. Line 2 will be a bridge from what you received to what you like to give back. Something like, wanted to give back, so I thought I'd offer myself as a guest. You're not requesting a favor, you're offering value. Line 3 is one relevancy sentence. Tell them what you speak about and one concrete results that you helped others achieve. Provide a good example for this, maybe something like, I speak about topic, I've helped type of a person, get specific results. Line 4 is going to be an optional incentive line. This can be something like, I would love to spread the show across my channels if you have a big following, or I would like to allocate $100 for you to promote the episode once it's live, or simply, I would like to pay to speak. And then line 5 is going to be a soft CTA, and with a question that makes it easy to say yes. For example, does this fit what your audience wants right now, or should I send you a couple of angle ideas for the episode? This lowers the friction of a reply because you're not asking for a commitment, you're just opening a conversation. For the subject line, all lowercase tends to perform best. That's because it doesn't scream that it's a marketing email. The subject lines I found that get the highest open rate currently are, okay if I give back, I owe you for the last episode, and your last episode changed my week. I recommend you to try using one of these. These feel like they actually came from a person, not some AI bot cold emailing them. Also, make sure to never include the speaker profile link in the first email. Sending a link in the first message drops reply rates significantly because it looks like a template blast and would probably also look like spam for the email provider, resulting in getting directly to the spam folder. Just tell them you're happy to send them your speaker page if it's helpful, and once they reply, that's when you drop the link for it. This keeps the first message feeling personal. You can also pitch through LinkedIn, and the approach here is slightly different. Here's how. Step 1 is sending a connection request with a short note based on a specific episode win. Something like, hey name, loved your episode with guest, it helped me, specific outcome, would love to connect. Don't send them any links, don't pitch them, don't ask for anything. Simply send them a human opener. Step 2 happens after they accept. That's when you follow up with your speaker profile, but frame it as offering them access to pool of guests, not asking for a spot. Something like, I'm part of Podstar, a community of founders who train to become good podcast guests. Made a short speaker page so hosts can see what I talk about. Here it is. If you ever want guests with useful stories, our community has some good speakers. Now, whether you're pitching by email or LinkedIn, don't expect the first message to close the deal. Most hosts juggling a lot, and a single pitch gets buried. That's why the follow-up matters more than most people think. 2 follow-ups sent 4 days apart is the best cadence I found. Each of my follow-up has 6 parts. Start with a light opener, something like circling back or quick nudge. Then give reasons why your topic is relevant right now. After that, one sentence on why you specifically fit their audience, 2 proof points that back that up, and optional incentive line if you want to use one, and close with a strong CTA. At roughly 5% acceptance rate, 60 well-targeted pitches get you 2-3 confirmed booking appearances, and volume beats perfection here. A good pitch sent to 60 qualified shows will always outperform a perfect pitch sent to just 5. Now, if you want to go do this yourself with a full system behind you, the Podstar Challenge I have within my school community walks you through every step. Your speaker profile, your show list, your pitch, your follow-up sequence, how to perform well on the mic, and how to turn every appearance into a content pipeline. And if you get booked on 3 podcasts in 30 days, you win your money back. It's linked in the description below. And if you rather have us handle the whole thing for you, we can take care of the research, the outreach, the booking, get you 3 podcasts a month guaranteed, and you just show up and that's it. Again, both of these options are linked in the description. And if you want to learn more about getting yourself on a podcast consistently, then check out this next video.